Welcome. You are listening to Humans of Mitti Ke Rang, and today we are in conversation with Mr. Rohit Tiwari from Nepal. Mr. Tiwari is the CEO of FoodMario, an organization that is listed in the Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia 2020. Tune in to know more about his entrepreneurship experience so far. Hi.
How are you?
Hi Rohit, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good too. Um, should we begin?
Yeah, already
Great.
excited for this.
Sorry?
Already excited for this.
Yes, us too, very, very much. We're really eager to know more about you and your journey. So, for everybody who's joining us, we have with us Mr. Rohit Tiwari from Nepal, and he is the CEO and founder of a company called FoodMario. And this company has been listed in the Asia Forbes 2020 30 under 30 list. So congratulations for that, and we're so excited to know more about you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So should we begin with the questions?
Yeah.
Great. So for starters, please tell us how and when you came up with the idea of Food Mario.
So this was 2000, late 2017 when I was actually attending a boot camp in Kathmandu, and it was a 6 days boot camp where I actually went there and pitched a different idea. So it was called Engineers for Nepal at that time. So it was basically a platform where we connected engineers with customers. And over the time when the boot camp actually ended, we had this discussion on how the food tech industry is growing globally. And we took few examples from India, how Swiggy and Zomato are doing good. We had few examples from Europe and other places of the world. And we thought about it, if we can bring something actually good that would make sense in Nepal as well. But it had to be something different. We already
Right.
had companies who were delivering food from restaurants. So we wanted something different to happen. And then we came up with something that would enable people to sell food from their own home kitchens. And then the idea of Food Mario actually came.
Right. Wow. So can you explain us the process of Food Mario? Like, if a person wants to sell their food on your platform, what is that process like, and how does it reach the final customer?
Yeah, so it's a very easy process to get enrolled and start selling food on Food Mario. It's a basic procedure where people have to download the application. It's called Food Mario Partner Application, and they have to list the menu and the pictures of the food that they want to sell. And there's a protocol that we have set for home cooks to start selling food, where they have to maintain certain hygiene and health protocols that we have made for them. If they follow all of these, and it's them to decide on the prices, is them to decide on the meals they want to sell, so they can start selling food in a couple of days. At the same time, from the customer's end, we have application, Food Mario application, where people can just download the application. They can decide on the kind of meal they want to order, or the
Right.
chefs they would want to order from. So it's basically it. It's not. It's a very simple process to order food or to sell food on Food Mario.
Right. And how do you earn your revenue out of it? Like, where do you earn it from?
Yeah. So for us, it's more of like we take 20 to 30% of whatever they sell. So while deciding on the prices from the cook's end, they would include a 20 to 30% depending on the meals they sell. So it's basically that's the major revenue stream for us. We just included the delivery charges, so I would say that's also a different revenue stream for us. So it's basically two revenue streams for us right now.
Right. So was being an entrepreneur always in the books for you? Was it something that you always wanted to do?
Me being something like entrepreneur, I would say eventually this. If I look back in time, when I was in my school days, I wanted to be an army man. Then I wanted to be a hero while watching movies. So it was more of a mixed kind of thing for me. But when I started my bachelor's, I kind of like, if I connect the dots backwards, I used to sell rice to my college canteen, and I would do whatever it takes to uh, keep myself engaged while I was in college, doing this or that, maybe printing a newspaper, selling it to teachers, if that makes sense. So I would say over the time it did connect, and it was something I was really passionate about, selling things, maybe marketing or something like that.
Right. So your company was listed in the Asia Forbes 30 under 30 list this year. So
Yeah.
when did you get the news and what was your reaction to it?
So it's a very filmy reaction, I have to say. So it was more of like, I woke up with this text that I got, that a friend from Philippines actually texted me saying that, "Hey Rohit, like, yeah, I saw your name in Forbes under 30." I was like, "What? Like, this actually happened?" And so for that first 10 minutes, I would say I was like, "Is this actually true?" Like, then I googled the Forbes website. I went to the Forbes website. I looked for my name. I eventually found it. So I was super excited for the first day, I would say. The excitement, as with everything, was like slightly. The second day, I realized that okay, like, I got listed in Forbes under 30, but the business has to go on. We are into this COVID period, because when the list was out, we were going through this lockdown and things like that. We were actually struggling at that particular moment, and I would say the excitement was and still there. It's still there that we got listed. I find myself super lucky to be true. There are a lot of companies, a lot of people who would want to be in the list. They actually deserve to be there, and it was entirely it's my team, because of who I actually reached there. So it's cheers to my team for doing this.
Amazing, amazing. Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
My next question to you is, what is your vision for Food Mario? Where does it go from here for yourself as well, and as well, and the company as well?
I think with Food Mario, over the time after the lockdown, we have added actually a couple of verticals to it. So it started 2.5 years. We actually did just home cooked food, but
Mhm.
after lockdown, government had this policy where we could only deliver essentials. So we actually created a vertical called Food Plus, where we started delivering aloo, pyaj, and whatever we could get hold of. So so we were selling rice and wheat and whatever we got, and so we have a different vertical for that as well in Food Mario. At the same time, the concept that we started with, where we actually want to empower a lot of people who are staying in home, and they would want to sell something on Food Mario. We're gonna be very strong with that vertical as well. But we're having this. We're making this again a more stricter protocol for home cooks to come on board, because of this COVID thing that's happening right now. And at the same time, we're reaching out to restaurants as well now, because I think this is the moment where they actually need companies like us, when the business is not there. The hotels are suffering from this. So we have three
Right.
verticals right now with Food Mario. One is home cooked food, the original vertical that we had, and then we came to essentials, and doing deliveries of essentials, and then restaurant as well. So I think over the time we would want to see thousands of home cooks to sell food on Food Mario. At the same time, we would want to have a big brands. We would want their essentials to be delivered to the customers, and we would want to cater the crowd of customers. We would want to order food from restaurants as well. So it's mix of everything, I would say, for now.
Right. So what kind of response have you gotten from the users of your app?
I think for now it's kind of a mixed response, because we couldn't actually change quite a lot of tech while adding different verticals in it, so it's kind of confusing at this moment. But eventually in next 15 to 20 days, we're gonna figure out a very easy UI UX for our customers to know on how they can easily decide on where to order from, if they want home cooked food, or they want essentials, or restaurant food. So it's kind of a mixed response, I would say, because of the bit confusing, I would say, UI UX that we have right now. But in 15 to 20 days we're gonna adopt to that. At the same time, we will have our customers adopt to that. So it's gonna be good, I think.
Right. Before I move on to my next question, a word to our viewers. If anybody has any questions for Rohit, please put them down and we'll get to them. Rohit, my next question to you is, would you ever think about expanding Food Mario, maybe outside of Nepal?
Definitely, whenever someone like me or like any other company would start their business in any of the countries, we would want to see the startup scale to different countries, different continents, and we do have a vision for this because I would want to see. I know that the kind of culture that we share with the neighboring countries, Bhutan and India and other countries, is very similar. If we can crack something that actually works with a very efficient business model in Nepal, it can be replicated to Bhutan, to India, and to other places as well. So just thinking out loud, I would want to see Food Mario all over the world, just doing what we do best, delivering good food to people.
Right. Um, Before you started with Food Mario, you had
Yeah.
a lot of other startups as well. And so please walk us through your journey up till today.
Yeah, it's such a long journey, to be very true. The first company that I started was almost 8 years back. While I was studying engineering, final year, the formal company, I would say. Even before that, as I said, like I used to sell rice to my college canteen if I get to. We actually printed a newspaper. We call it Electrocom. I have no idea why we call it that, but I was into it as well. The first formal company was a solar company because we actually had a lot of power cuts back then in Nepal. Fortunately, we don't have power cuts now. So the first thing that came to my mind was it's a visible market that we have. If we can come up with something, a very efficient way to sell solars in Nepal, it would work. So I started selling solar almost in 2011, I would say 11, 12, and I actually carried on with solar for next 5, 6 years. But in between those 5, 6 years, I jumped into different companies. I tried my luck with farming as well. So I used to raise goats as well. So I had goat farm in a very in a place which is 120 kilometers away from the capital of Nepal. So I tried manufacturing air purifiers because there was a lot of pollution and different things, I would say. So it's a mix of everything. Every time I started something else, it was totally different from whatever I had started before. So it's quite of experience, I would say, if I look at what I've done in last 8, 9 years. But now with FoodMario, I think whatever I've learned from last my 6, 7 ventures that I started, I learned a lot from it. I knew. I finally decided to know that why I actually failed at scaling with those ventures, and I somehow compiled all of the knowledge, and then I started FoodMario.
Right. So, do you think there's a possibility for you to maybe use such a wide range of experience and start something else now?
I think I'm gonna stick with FoodMario for a while, I would say. But at the same time, what I've learned is like if I ever start something new, it's gonna be something which is gonna complement FoodMario as well. So maybe just thinking out loud, logistics is something that I would look at. Uh, it can be food processing, food safety, something AI driven that can make sure that the food is safe and sound. If we can make it more efficient, that can be one of the things. So something that's going to complement FoodMario. So somehow making an ecosystem where the initial startup actually thrives on the new companies that I would ever build. So this is the kind of thought that I have right now.
Hmm. So, when it comes to your work, do you have an inspiration of sorts, someone you look up to?
I actually am a big fan of Elon Musk, but I'm pretty sure a lot of them are. Uh, not exactly sure. Like it so much depends. Like the branding that Apple has done. I would say I'm a big fan of Steve Jobs for how he actually built Apple over the time. if I have to think insane and make things happen actually out of the world, I would think Elon Musk as one of the inspiration for me. So it's kind of like mix of everything again. There's no specific particular person I would say I would look up to, because it's gonna be a mix of my family, my friends, the experience that I've gained over the time that would actually inspire me.
Right. So, coming to your country, since this is a series that we're covering all countries, if you could please share with us, tell us more about Nepal and what you think is the beauty of Nepal.
I think the word particular beauty was built on something like the place Nepal, because it's such a beautiful place to be at. It's not just the place that I would say is beautiful, because there's gonna be, it's not gonna be fair, because the kind of people that we're surrounded with, the kind of people that exist like in Kathmandu or any other place, that if you would ever go out of Kathmandu and to different place in Nepal, it's the beauty, the mix of the nature and the people, the kind of politeness and the kindness that you'll get with the amazing landscape and the glaciers and the mountains and the greenery, and I can go so on this. I'm very sure that there are very similar places in India as well. If you look at the Himalayan belt that we have, it's kind of beautiful just being here. If you ever travel to Nepal, if you travel to Kathmandu, you'll meet people. You'll travel to Pokhara, Chitwan, the places where the beauty exists, and then you go to the strict trekking routes and hiking and things like that. So it's full of fun. It's more of like it's like 70%. It's 70% of the nature that's gonna engage you a lot, and then it's 30% of the people were so kind and so beautiful, and we're so groomed in a way to actually meet people and greet them in such a nice way. I would say it's a perfect place to be at, and your next destination, I would say.
Yeah, I luckily had the opportunity of traveling Nepal years back, and it was before the earthquake and before the unfortunate event, and it was so beautiful. I still want to come back there. But has Nepal recovered well after that earthquake?
I think after such a massive earthquake, the recovery process is still going on, because the lives that was lost, the kind of families, the kind of destruction that came with earthquake will take time to actually. It's gonna take time for us to recover from that. But I would
Right.
say the kind of effort that the global community actually came together for Nepal at the same time, the local government, the people, we all came together, and we thought that we just cannot sit back and look at it, and we have to do something. So I think over the time we have recovered quite a lot, and it's still a process. I would say the kind of monuments that were destroyed, the kind of uh, the historical sites that were destroyed during the earthquake, it's still gonna take time to be rebuilt. But still, I think it's better now. We have high hopes, and everything is growing exponentially. I would say that the digital economy, the kind of thought that we have now, the kind of youth involvement in business, startups, and policies and politics. I think over the time we have grown quite a lot after earthquake.
Lovely. I'm so glad to hear that, and I hope Nepal sees a speedy recovery. So, coming to the last few questions of the day today, before we end the session, if you had to give a few words of advice to other people who are hoping to have their own startups or just take the route that you did, what would those words of advice be?
I think such a difficult question to be answered to be true, because FoodMario is still to be successful, I would say, and something I could actually share is just from my experience that if you ever want to start something, it has to be not because you just want to start a startup or you want to feel to become how it's going to be felt to be a CEO or something like that. It has to come from within you. You have to have that patience to wait for it, to actually work on it. You have to be ready to acknowledge the failures that you're going to have with the same startup as well. because it's not the failure of the startup that actually matters. It's more of like, even in the startup, when you're running it for years and years, eventually you fail within the company as well, and you have to know how to learn from it. And it's always good to have right people around, to have right mentors around, and to actually build a team that shares your vision and mission, because it's very essential for a startup like us to give a lot of time and effort to make a team, uh, because that's what actually counts in a company like ours. And so it's more of like, you have to be actually passionate about it in real, like brutally passionate about it. You just cannot be like, it cannot be a hobby or something like that.
Yes, definitely. We have a couple of comments coming in. One person said he's a big fan of FoodMario, and another, there's a question. He says, "Hi Rohit, Dai. Is that local language? Dai?
Yeah, so it's more of like a bigger brother.
Oh, so he says, "Hi Rohit, Dai. Sorry.
Nothing.
Okay. So he's asking, what books have you read that shaped you as a person, and made you into who you are today? How has it changed your way of thinking?"
I think one of the first books that I read was Lean Startup, I would say, because it was recommended by, again, one of my mentors. And when I read that book, it's more of like a book that would actually make you think on how to set up your priorities, how to actually start your startup in a very lean way. And that's so much essential for you, because the first company, I still remember when I started it, the first thing that came to my mind was, I need a big office to start it, because that's how we would want to convince our people. Whenever they enter our office, they have to feel that this is a big company and they would actually have a trust on us. But things actually don't work that way. So it's the kind of resources or the kind of time you would want to start with would be very lean. The kind of resources you would want to use is very limited when you start any company. So lean startup actually made me think over it. And before starting FoodMario, I actually started this on a Facebook group where I would say we relied on a technology, the biggest technology of all, Facebook, to start it. So this is how you actually learn and grow. So I would say that one book is very special to me.
Lovely. Another question is, how do you think the e-commerce scenario will be post-COVID?
I think that there has been a very big cultural shift on how people are going to consume goods, I would say. Not just the food, but overall purchasing behavior of people. It has had a kind of positive impact as well, when there was this lockdown and people started ordering groceries and basic essentials for their homes from online portals. Maybe this actually did a big effort to bring our analog society into digital society. When my mom actually orders groceries from FoodMario, this is when I realized that this is actually happening. So I think it's gonna be a good shift for particularly food. I would say there has to be a shift where people would want to be with a lot of transparent kind of food delivery services, where we actually acknowledge them with how the food is cooked, how it's delivered, and the kind of food they're consuming is coming from a safe place. So if all of that is done in the right way, I think it's a way forward for us when people have actually started paying digitally, ordering online. So it's a good step also.
Exactly. We have a lot of questions coming in, but most of them you've already answered. So for the people who've asked the questions, please wait for the IGTV that will be posted after this, and you'll get all your answers. Um, so again, what is your plan for scaling up? And we would like to see FoodMario delivered all over Nepal. And what kind of challenges can we have when we are trying to turn ideas into something that while working on them?
Yes, for the first part, I would say we actually want to scale FoodMario all over Nepal, but at the same time, you have to we actually need to learn how to scale, and this is where we are right now. When we want to explore markets outside of Kathmandu as well, we're looking at different cities at the moment on how to scale, the kind of products they would want to order, the kind of verticals we would want to go there with. So it's going to take time, I would say. Finally, we have come out of a very confined space where we used to deliver to a broader space, that's Lalitpur, Bhaktapur, and Kathmandu. And we would see in next 6 to 8 months, we would want to scale out of Kathmandu to at least a city. And over a year, I would say, in next 12 months, I would say we would want to see next 2 cities coming in. So let's have high hopes on that. If we get the right numbers, if we have the right customers there, so we would actually want to scale all over Nepal. And the second part, like the kind of challenges that people would have while starting a company, is I think one thing has to be made sure is that you actually hire a finance guy, or you find a finance co-founder, or something has to be there for finance. And then you have to figure out how you actually define your company, the kind of vision that you have. When you make a team, the team has to have this vision for your company and for the startup. So this is where a lot of work goes in. And whenever you start a company, don't just get your friends in. You have to actually talk to them, know if they are complimenting you or not. You have to be a very brutally honest customer of your service and product. And this is how I think you actually start any company. And you do a lot of research. Like we do a lot of research while buying a phone. When you're starting a company, you have to do it.
Right. So this is my question: is what was the most toughest part as when you started with FoodMario? Which part, like finance or marketing, what was most toughest for you to get a hold on?
I think I think everything was covered over the time. We had a really good finance. We had a finance team to make sure we know where we are bleeding, so we can work on it. But the kind of cultural shift, or I would say the behavior of how people would want to sell food on Food Mario, had it actually took time for us to get a lot of cooks on board. The kind of feeling that people have that they should not be selling food from their own home is something I would say took a lot of time and effort from our side and a cook side to portray it in a way that it's not just for the money, it's more of a social value that you get from Food Mario, was something that we actually worked really hard on.
Right. Um, so again, these are very repeated questions, so I will ask you all towards the IGTV later. Coming to the last question of the day, Rohit, if our viewers need to get in touch with you to know more about you and your work, how can they do that?
I'm so easily available on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and you can always email me at rohit@foodmario.com. So that's my email address. And I would definitely want to learn a lot from all the viewers. I would want to connect to the global community of people, where people, if they have some suggestions and if they have actually done something similar in their part of the world, so I would want to know from them as well, learn from them, and I would definitely want to share whatever I've learned over the years. So this is how you connect to me. Just find me on all the social platforms and my email address.
Awesome. On this note, Rohit, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story with us. Congratulations on all your achievements, and we hope you go way further. Thank you again for giving us your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you, and it has been a wonderful 30 minutes or 45 minutes with you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All the best. Please take care.
Thank you. Take care.